Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to another polymer clay video at keepsakecrafts.net. Today I'm going to show you a fun technique that you can use to make an embossed design with any colors that you like. It's got a beautiful shine. So to get started here, I have a sheet of polymer clay that I rolled out onto the number 2 setting on my pasta machine. Not too thick. And then these are interesting. I came across these in my local Michael's. They're actually made for embossing on soaps, like handmade soaps. And what I really like about them is that they're very deep. They have nice deep designs. And so there's this set of square ones and then this set of rectangular ones. And the best thing for this technique is something like this that has an all-over design with a fair amount of space, but nothing that has too much wide open space. Like this one would be tricky. You could do it, but this one would be trickier to use than this one. So this is what I'm going to use, and I'm going to use it just like a rubber stamp. I'm going to put it on my clay, and then I have an acrylic block that's used for rubber stamping clear stamps. These don't stick to the block like the clear stamps do, but that doesn't matter. And then you just place the block on there. And I'm going to stand up and use 2 hands to put really firm pressure on it. And I'm going to rock it just slightly. I don't want to get a double image, but I'm just going to rock it a little bit left and right, up and down. I really want to get a nice deep impression. So there we go. There is a nice deep impression. And fun tip for you, if you decide that maybe stepping on your tile is a good idea to get a really deep impression, don't do it. Yeah, and now I have just a nice deep impression. And now I'm just going to trim off the excess clay so I can use that for something else. Otherwise this will get mica powders all over it. And then we're going to pull out mica powders. There's a couple different brands out there. You definitely want to tap them down. Make sure you have it with the smaller end up when you open them. I had this one upside down yesterday when I opened it. What a mess. It's a good thing I like this color because it was everywhere. And I have a few different shades of green and blue and purple. There's also Pearlex. That's a different brand you'll find that you can use. They all will work just fine. And then a soft brush, and now you're just going to start applying pearls, and I like to do sort of a diagonal line across my piece and kind of move your brush in circles to blend the colors together a little bit as they meet. So make sure that you have pearls in all of the recesses. And that's why I kind of do this circular motion, just really get it in all the crevices and spaces. Okay, that'll do. I'm always very paranoid about spilling my pearls because A, they're expensive, and B, I'm a klutz. So I like to put them away as soon as I'm done with them. And now what you want to do is take this, hold it over a trash can, and just go over it with the brush and get rid of all of the excess mica powder that you can. And now you can see that doing that rubbing motion with your brush kind of polished and burnished in those mica powders, so they really have a nice glow. You do want to make sure that you do that. Next tool is packing tape. And it's at this step that you'll see why we need the type of impression that I mentioned earlier. Because all you're going to do is place this over the top, rub it lightly with your finger, and peel it off. And keep doing that. And see, if you had an impression like this, your finger would go down into that big open space and you'd end up removing the mica powders from that space where you want to keep it. So it's better to have something with a lot of spaces that are fairly close together. And so you just keep on tearing off pieces of packing tape until you see your base color coming through again. And the tape is just lifting the mica powders off of the white clay. Did I mention that to begin with? I started out with pearl clay. Right now the pearl clay is looking a little dirty, so we'll just keep going. Now if you don't have a super deep stamp, make sure you don't press too hard in this step, so that you leave all of your mica powder in the depressions. Ooh, isn't that pretty? I like. Almost there. So you probably, depending on the surface area, you'll probably end up using half a dozen or so pieces of packing tape. And so there is your design. Of course, you can use any color you like for your base clay, and then the mica powders will show up differently. So then the next tool you want to take is a flexible blade, and I'm just going to cut out a shape. I think I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to do like a long pointed oval. But you can do whatever you want. Do I want to do that? Or do I want to do something? Maybe I'll do this. Make something asymmetrical. This is a place where shape templates come in handy because you can actually audition them over your piece and see what you think looks best. I'm just kind of designing on the fly here. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's a nice pendant shape. I like that. Now use your firm blade to lift that up. And now you can bake your piece. Now you can bake it just flat on a card, or if you want to give it a little bit of shape, what I like to do is cut toilet paper rolls in half, and then you can curve these more or less and lay your pieces on those to bake them. And here are a couple I did earlier. Here's one all finished, and what I did was I added a piece of textured clay to the back. This one was rolled out on a 3 on my pasta machine. And so you just apply a little bit, a very thin coat of TLS to the back. Make it very thin, otherwise your sheet will slip around as you're trying to trim it. And if it does that, just go ahead and let it sit for a few minutes. Now this one you might notice I took some silver gilder's paste and went over the high portions. I thought that really accented the dragonfly with the blues and greens nicely. So then you just add the piece to the back. Use your blade to trim it. And the nice thing about adding a backing this way is it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. You can make it pretty accurate. But if there's anything that's off, it's clay. You can squish it one way or the other. And then to trim the edges, like I did on this one, I extruded these little triangle shapes of clay, just using an extruder. And then what I would recommend you use to attach these is Polybonder, because it's kind of like a heat setting super glue. So whereas regular super glue sometimes will lose its stick once you bake it, this actually cures, but it also sticks before it gets baked. So you'll need to decide where your one seam will be. I think I'm going to have it down here. So I'm going to apply just a very thin amount of the Polybonder. And then I'm going to leave a bit of excess extruded clay down there, and I'll trim that at the end. And the nice thing about the Polybonder, unlike the TLS, is that it holds it in place, so it's not falling off while you're trying to do the next side. And then you can just shape that. Now to do the corners, what you need is actually a little bit of extra clay in the corners. So go ahead and grab that piece just beyond the corner and give it a little push. And there, now it turns the corner nicely and smoothly. And so you can just carry on. If you don't have an extruder, you can also roll strips of clay and then use them to edge your piece. So then to get a nice miter at this corner, This is why I cut this a little long. I'm just going to use my blade, make sure I have the sharp edge, and kind of split the difference. Kind of go right down the middle of that point. Depending on your shape, you'll have to decide. And then go ahead and cut. Go ahead and position that piece, and then cut it to match the angle you cut on the other piece. And now you can bake this again, add a bale of your choosing, and you have a really beautiful custom piece that can be done in any style, design, colors that you want. Now if you're interested in the supplies I use, there's a link in the upper right and the description box to go to my blog post. If you like my videos, give a thumbs up, share, and subscribe if you want to see more. I upload new tutorials every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you've benefited from my videos, consider becoming a patron. You can support my channel with $1 a month or whatever you can afford. See my Patreon page for details. So here's another look at the project we made today. Thanks for watching. Happy creating. Bye-bye.